If you've watched my channel before, you've probably heard me mention Naruto many times. And for once, I'm actually going to focus on Naruto itself instead of just referencing it in other videos. I feel like there's a lot of stuff inside of Naruto that, in principle, is applicable to many other things. And in this video, I'm focusing on Obito, which him and other characters like him are really at the heart of the story and what it's all about. So obviously, he's kind of one of the more all-encompassing characters. Even within Naruto itself, there is this idea where you have these two brother characters that are actual literal reincarnations of each other. So they're not just occupying a similar archetype, or they're not just being like the hero archetype or the villain archetype, like different iterations of it. Inside of the story, they're literal reincarnations of each other. So you have like Indra and Ashura, Madara and Hashirama, Naruto and Sasuke, right? It's kind of like saying they're all the same person, almost literally, like they're reincarnations, but it's also they're principally, they have similar values, similar motivations, similar goals, similar trappings, similar character flaws, that kind of stuff. And while Obito isn't an actual reincarnation of the Indra bloodline or whatever you want to call it, he is in principle aligned with that sort of stuff. And Kakashi is kind of like his opposite, and he's more on like the Naruto side of things. And obviously they play some games with the story, like Obito started off more like Naruto but ended up being more like Sasuke, and Kakashi started more like Sasuke but ended up being more like Naruto. And you even have parallels with Jiraiya and Orochimaru. It's kind of like every team that comes out of the Hidden Leaf, there's the two boys on the team who are ideologically, spiritually adversarial to each other.
You know, Kakashi really is getting a lot better.
Yeah, you're right about that. For his age, he's doing great.
Rin is growing well too. They're really becoming a good team.
Don't forget about Obito.
He's hardly more than a bragging little half-pint. He's always tripping over himself, he can't throw a shuriken straight, and his jutsu setup is just... he'll need some work.
Well, just like you said, Obito does have a lot of things that he needs to work on. But still, his bright and outgoing attitude is really important. Obito being there deepens the bond between everyone on the team, and that's a fact. Wait, I don't need to tell you, you know. I mean, he is your favorite, isn't he?
All of this clip, I really want to say, is Obito starts off a lot like Naruto. And there's something endearing about Naruto and Obito's clumsy, naive, headstrong attitude, and not being like a child prodigy like Sasuke or Kakashi, because most of us are obviously not intrinsically exceptional people. Most of us are probably a lot like them, at least starting out at something. So there's something that's kind of endearing about that.
Oh? You sure about that? Here you go.
Hmm? Thanks.
By the way, is the location of your next assignment going to be decided soon?
Yep. I should find out for sure in just a few days' time, but I think that it's going to be at Kannabi Bridge.
Kannabi Bridge. I hope the war ends soon.
Something I want to bring up real quick. Kannabi Bridge, I'm probably not pronouncing that right. It's like both of them pronounced it different ways, but I looked this up a long time ago when I was watching Naruto, and that name translates to something like the place where God's not watching, or where God isn't at, or something that conjures up feelings and imagery of despair. And it's thematically appropriate that it's named something like that. It's a place in the third Ninja World War, I think, where Minato, he takes his team of kids, which is already kind of fucked up that they have like child soldiers, but they go there, and that's where Obito gets crushed by a boulder, as we'll see, meets Madara, sees Rin die, and that's kind of what drives his change in character, his new ideology. That's often what you'll see with villain characters, is that they're oftentimes, people will say, oh, they're not a villain because look at the nuance, right? They had this happen to him and that happened to him, therefore it's justified. And it's like, that's actually all part of what the villain archetype is that nuance. So you'll see that often, right? Where a character is essentially corrupted by pain. And that's how it happens oftentimes in real life. Like, people don't necessarily come out of the womb jaded and resentful and nihilistic and cynical, right? And despair driven and pain driven. The world beats them down. And I've given this example before, and this is why I'm not going to get too much into the Saturn stuff. I know it always goes into that. I just use the concept of like the world. You have the ideal, that's sort of someone's optimistic nature, like idealism, and the world kind of beats it out of them. And a sort of trivial example I often give is, you see with especially teenagers and stuff, like younger people, they'll have a romance with someone and maybe their boyfriend or girlfriend cheats on them, right? So that betrayal of trust erodes their belief in those immaterial things being actually real. Or you could be even a friend, because like in Naruto, a big theme is friendship, right? Like Naruto goes the distance just to save a friend. And I'll probably leave a lot of that conversation for the Naruto video, but he's like the redeemer character. And in saving a friend, everything that it takes to save a friend, in principle, is a lot like what it would take to save the world. They're almost the same thing, but just in different in scale, I guess. But they're the same in principle, which really adds a lot of weight to, like, I always try to make it make sense in our personal lives, right? I think that's the most important thing we can do when we watch videos. Like, how does this make sense to me? What is like the call to action for me? What is this saying about myself? What is this saying I should do? What's it suggesting that I should care about? Oftentimes you'll see the heroic character values bonds and friendships and stuff. And it's not that the villain character necessarily doesn't, at least he does at first. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but for example, Reen dies, and that loss kind of is the catalyst for Obito's change in ideology. You have like Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker, his mom dies. You have Neon Genesis Evangelion, you have Gendo and his wife dies. One of the things Gendo literally says is something like, I don't wish to be God's child, I wish to become God, that way I'll never have to lose anything ever again. He says something like that. It's not because it's a writing trope, it's because there's something going on there that's psychologically true. Even Anakin will say something like, I want to become the most powerful Jedi ever. I'll even have the power to stop people from dying. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and I'm using examples outside of Naruto, but it's all applicable. Anyways, it makes sense that God is sort of conceptually the idea of hope, or an ideal if you want to be secular about it. He's like a personification of hope, redemption, that people can change, that you can trust them, that the words friendship and love and trust mean something real. And when you go to Obito goes to Kanabi Bridge, the place where God's not at, the place where God's not watching, he develops that kind of tragic mindset.
Bridge.
Kanabi Bridge. I hope the war ends soon.
Are you ready?
Yes!
Kushina, see you soon.
All right, be careful, and do your best, you guys. And you, Obito.
What?
You're clumsy and you're hasty. And you're a blundering fool, too. And add Knucklehead to the list.
Ask, but... Why do you like him so much anyway?
It's because he's part of my dream.
Dream?
One day, if we have a child, I want that child to be bright and forthright and grow up to be just like Obito.
There's so many times, so many different shows, so many different media where the hero is symbolically associated with solar stuff and warmth and brightness. Like, she's talking about him, you see the sun coming onto him. There's even a scene in Naruto where I think Naruto is walking with someone. This is, I think, when they're kids, so it's not Naruto Shippuden. Or maybe, I don't remember, honestly. It's been so long since I've watched this. And she's walking with someone, or he's walking with someone, and she's like, oh, his chakra like his vibe or essence or whatever is very warm and bright and sun-like. That's appropriate from what I can tell. The sun being symbolic of this solar hero kind of thing. And some people might reduce Jesus to that, like, oh, Jesus is a story of like the sun rising and falling and that kind of, it's that and probably much more. Just wanted to mention that.
Our child doesn't have to be smart, and can even be cocky. But I want our child to value friendship and have a cheerful spirit. With a will that can't be broken. I want our child to be strong like him.
This entire world
will not end!
will end.
Some things people might often say about the hero, like, oh, look, he's teamed up with all these people just to fight the villain. And it's like, yeah, but that's kind of the point. And it's not just Naruto that does this, but Naruto really leans into it, the show. The bad guys derive power from the severing of bonds, and the good guy derives power of having those bonds and like wanting to protect them. So they value friendship. It's thematically appropriate that you have everyone united against the people that don't have that attitude. They show that many times, like when Naruto and Sasuke are doing their final little clash. It shows like all the people behind Naruto, and it shows Sasuke kind of like alone, like vestiges of all of his friends and family behind Naruto, and there's kind of like nobody behind Sasuke. One other thing I'll bring up, she's talking about, it's kind of ironic, I guess. She wants their kid to be like Obito, and Obito ends up being like that and one of Naruto's greatest adversaries, although Naruto does eventually redeem him and get him. Every character ends up being redeemed by Naruto. Even Madara, as he's dying, he has a sort of like reconciliation with Hashirama before he dies. Sasuke, obviously, too. I think maybe the only one who doesn't is Kaguya or Zetsu. And a lot of people didn't like Kaguya and Zetsu, and I actually did like it because they thought Madara was a way better character, and indeed he is. It's actually appropriate because Kaguya and Zetsu, if I think about it, the way I think about it is Madara and Obito and Pain and Sasuke, they're all kind of like broken people that are possessed by a certain worldview, a certain value system. They have a monkey on their back, so to speak, of pain and guilt. But Zetsu and Kaguya are almost interdimensional. They're almost other. They are otherworldly. It's almost like it's like the difference between Darth Vader and Palpatine. There's like a tragic villain, and then there's someone who's more like pure evil, or more like a force of nature, rather, that has to be stopped. It's kind of like when the Bible will tell you to focus on the sin, not the sinner, right? You might see an alcoholic and they might do all these bad things, and obviously that person is somewhat accountable for the things that they're doing, but there's something immaterial in their heart and in their mind that's more or less possessing them. That's the true enemy. There's actually a really important clip I'll include in the Sasuke video if I ever make one, or the Naruto video. But there's a scene, they resurrect all the old Hokage. Hashirama's there, and he talks about, he says this in regards to Sasuke. He's like, I shall prioritize undoing the ill feelings that are binding this child. Even if we win, in the end, it'll be pointless. He's saying, without dispelling the root cause of it all, Sasuke is just going to become the next Madara, and he even says something like he'll definitely become the next Madara. And like I said, Sasuke and Madara are principally the same person, and in this case they're like actual reincarnations of each other, or like the Indra spirit or whatever. The hero understands what the true battle is. The villain also understands what the true battle is in many cases. It's how I've talked about how Batman or Joker will want to get Batman to kill, or Palpatine will want to get Luke to kill his dad or whatever. In this case, it's like the hero sees the true battle as a spiritual one, and the true victory is undoing the ill feelings that are binding someone and preventing the cycle from continuing. One other thing I'll say, and again, I'm getting a little bit outside of the Obito thing, but I'm just kind of talking about Naruto, so I hope you guys don't care. It kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. So Jiraiya, Naruto's teacher, writes a book called Tales of a Gutsy Ninja, and the main character's name is Naruto. Minato, Naruto's dad, asked Jiraiya, hey, I would like to name my kid after the character in your book because I want him to be just like the character in your book. And there's something like really heartwarming about that. Jiraiya feels very honored and all that. But it's almost, what I mean by fourth wall, it's almost like, I mean, Naruto is the main character of a heroic guy in a story within another story that Naruto is the main character and he's like a heroic guy. It's like, and then we're watching that story and Minato wanted to name his kid after Naruto. So even Minato reads the story and he's like, oh, I want to put that spirit on my unborn son, that idea into him. I want to kind of emulate what this character is. And much how children will watch Spider-Man and stuff like that and like want to dress up like him and shit. Even adults on some level get it because they go to Comic-Con and conventions and all that, and they get tattoos and they know all the quotes and stuff. People are compelled on some level by fictional stories, even if they don't really understand it. This takes place after the mission at Kanabi Bridge. Obito gets crushed by the boulder. This is when he meets Madara for the first time.
Where am I?
Somewhere halfway between life and death. Child of Uchiha.
Your eyes. It can't be. You're from the Uchiha clan too?
Well, if you can feel pain, it means you are still alive.
So you...
Even little comments like that, where Madara says if you can feel pain means you're still alive. And he's going to drop a line in here that is so crazy. And I think it's actually happening in real life. And this is the reason when I talk about Naruto, guys, I'm barely talking about Naruto. I'm almost talking about real life. I know that sounds kind of funny and maybe not really sane, but I really do mean it. I think this story is beyond fiction, really. And I think much of the media that we watch is beyond fiction, which is why I put so much stock into the type of... I think, obviously, it doesn't... I was just debating this with my friends the other day. What you listen to, the shows that you like, the music that you like, the characters that you like, it doesn't say everything about your character as a human being, your values as a human being, but it says something. Obviously, what says the most is ultimately your actions, what you do, what you decide to do, because through your actions, you're admitting what you value over another thing. Like, if I choose to do this, then there's the proof that I actually cared about this more than that, right? But with that being said, this stuff isn't irrelevant. Anyways, it makes even little lines like that Madara drops. If you can feel pain, that means you're still alive. He's saying pain is like intrinsic to existence, which is kind of true. Obviously, that is a statement like that is like ideologically adjacent to his end game, which is, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Naruto, the Infinite Tsukuyomi, the infinite dream. So let's run away from this world. This world sucks. It's a failure. I'm going to put everyone into a matrix, a fake reality where it's sunshine and rainbows all the time. Naruto's just the template. It's just the vehicle for certain ideas, and these ideas will show up over and over and over again in different iterations.
You can feel pain. It means you are still alive.
So you saved me? Thank you.
You can thank me later. You see, I intend to make you pay me back in full.
Okay, what do I need to do? I need to get back to the Hidden Leaf Village. We're in the middle of a war. And now that I've finally awakened my Sharingan, I'll be much better at protecting my allies.
Protecting your allies. You will not be able to go on working as a ninja with that body. Wake up. Nothing in this world goes the way it should.
Would you shut up already? I don't want to stay here forever.
Enough. Neither of us can get out of here, not with these bodies.
Just are you?
I am.
Right there. I mean, first off, I know you guys are tired of me probably mentioning Saturn. Madara Uchiha, the fact that he's got that scythe as his main weapon, that is so on the nose symbolically. It's not an accident. Hey, let's give Madara a scythe. And it's not just like, oh, he's so dangerous and he kills people. It's like he has a Saturnian ideology. He has a death ideology. One of the iterations of what a Saturnian endgame would be in real life is something akin to an Infinite Tsukuyomi. It would be akin to the Matrix.
The ghost of the Uchiha. Madara Uchiha.
Madara? But Madara already died ages ago.
And I suppose I am a relic from the past.
This is, to me, probably one of the most insane lines ever in the entire franchise right here. It kind of sums up in a really weird sense of what this is all about in some way.
Why would you capture a half-dead kid like me?
We are going to break the cycle of cause and effect. Create a world with only victors, with only peace, with only love. A world that contains nothing but those things.
So we are going to break the cycle of cause and effect. A very interesting way of putting things. And that obviously ties up into, I made a video on like money and relating it to Saturn. And I included a clip from Stefan Molyneux. And one of the things he said about the financial system being like fiat and debt based is he actually said it in those words. He's like, you're separating money and value from cause and effect. You're just saying that people can print infinite money now, take out money on behalf, take out loans on behalf of the unborn. You can basically spend what you don't have. You're separating value from actual productivity, which is why Saturn is tied to illusory things. It's not real. And that's just one iteration. That's what I'm saying. It's just the principle is breaking the cycle of cause and effect. Detaching human beings from reality, from truth. One of the things in Full Metal Alchemist, as Father, he opens that gate, and he's trying to consume God or whatever, and he says, join me, I'll no longer be bound by you or your consequences. That's what he says as he's doing his like final move. Madara says, create a world where there's only peace, only love, there's only victors. So that's another way you're breaking cause and effect. You're erasing distinctions, which is why, again, the Saturn, the unity thing, the cube, the consolidation, which is why you see movements for erasing borders and erasing the distinction between right and wrong, erasing the distinction between male and female. And I'm not trying to make this a political statement. I'm just talking about it in principle, what's happening. Erasing the difference between love and hate. It's like when people say you couldn't have sunshine if it wasn't for rain, you know, like it's in the distinction between the two that gives the other one meaning or an identity at all to begin with. And he wants to create a reality without that distinction. It's not that that's like necessarily, it doesn't sound like, at least at first glance, like an evil endeavor. Like, oh, I want to create a world where there's only peace and love and winning. At face value, that sounds good. There's that old expression, that old euphemism, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I've talked about this many times in other videos, but it's rooted in pain. What spurs this on is pain and a lack of faith in humanity. I'm getting like all over the place. I have some quotes from Madara later on I'm going to show you. One of the things he says is, Hashirama, I've already reached it. And what he's saying is like, I'm it. Pain says the similar thing too. He's like, he literally says, I'm God. All my words and thoughts have become absolute. Pain literally says that. It doesn't leave room for stewardship. It doesn't leave room for trust. It doesn't leave room for the transcendent. Hashirama, the heroic side, believes in other people. They believe in the will of fire being inherited and passed down to the next generation. Oh, I'll do the best I can to like cultivate this world, and then I'm going to entrust it to the next generation. The villain side kind of says, no, everything ends with me right here, right now, and I've figured it out. And that's because they don't have that trust or that belief in humanity. I know I'm all over the place, but the only reason you would feel like you need to create a situation where you have a tyranny or force everyone into a dream world is because you view humanity or the world as a failure and irredeemable. So this is the only appropriate course of action. I know I'm going off on a tangent there, but that's something to remember right there. We are going to break the cycle of cause and effect. It's a rebellion against reality itself. It's a rebellion against truth. It's escapism in its most exaggerated, extreme form imaginable. Whatever that would look like. It's escapism fucking 5.0 in its most weird, technological, literal sense possible. I hope that makes sense. So this isn't a clip. This is just a page from the manga. In the end, you and I are just powerless shinobi. One day, you'll also know, everyone will become like me. I won't become like you. How many times do I have to say it? I want to become Hokage. Don't worry, everything will be fine. There is no ninjutsu in this world that can surpass the Infinite Tsukuyomi. So vanish together with this world. The only reason I included this is because, again, it has that lack of faith in other people. Everyone's going to become like me. Oh, you haven't been alive long. It's kind of like when black-pilled people or like cynical people or doomer people try to like little bro you and be like, oh, you just haven't been around the block enough times. Give it enough time and you'll give up too. You'll become jaded. You'll become cynical. You'll believe that there's nothing you can do. You'll believe that nothing you do matters. All that kind of stuff. We just need to reject that, I think. And obviously there's some like truth to it. I openly know that like the longer you're alive, the more shit you have to go through and people start dying and there's like pain involved. But I think we owe it to ourselves and to like God and to the relationships that we had and to what's right, like the meaning of those things, to not like give up and develop that kind of mindset. I don't know. And the ironic part is you starting to think like that. If we get a bunch of people thinking like that, that's actually perpetuating the situation that's making people think like that. So it's sort of like self-fulfilling and it's cyclical. It's like, oh, the world sucks, so I have to act this way. And then you start acting like this way, and then the world starts sucking more. And it's like someone betrayed me, so I'm going to betray someone else. And then that person's going to betray someone else. And it's like that's kind of what's keeping this shit afloat to some extent. If we just said, nah, I'm not going to play, and we walked away, or I'm going to do the other thing that's outside of this, then it would kind of lose its legs. It would kneecap the whole thing, which is kind of why this whole system that's going on Earth right now in real life and the trajectory that we're on is like a bit of a house of cards, because it all hinges on your participation in it. It all hinges on your fear and your lack of responsibility and whatever. That's another thing too about people, but this is something I thought about a lot lately. And it's like when people feel like there can be no such thing as pure intentions. Like, oh, a friend can't really just wish me well. There's always some thing underneath where they're secretly plotting against me, or they're secretly wishing ill will or hoping I fall, or someone couldn't earnestly just do something nice for me or do something loving towards me or whatever. It's like I understand the skepticism, I get it, but it's like it's almost a revealing thing when you think like that. It's like nobody could have good intentions because I don't think I can. It's almost like you're saying I can't have good intentions, therefore I don't believe it's possible in someone else. And since we're on the topic of anime, and this ties into the whole stewardship thing and trust and and friendship, it ties into all the immaterial stuff that is actually the most real that these guys think is not real. Since we're on the topic of anime, Dragon Ball Super, when Trunks goes to fight against Zamasu, one of the things he says is, well, first of all, Zamasu has a god complex. He thinks he's God and he's doing everyone a favor by getting rid of them, blah, blah, blah. Instead of putting them into a dream, he's killing them, but it's for their own good because they're a failed race or whatever. One of the things Trunks says as he's about to deliver the final blow, he says, I won't lose to someone who can't believe in anyone but himself. And it's like, boom, right there. Naruto believes in other people. He believes in the goodness in them. I'll expand on that more when I do a video on Naruto, but when he beats Sasuke in the final showdown, one of the things Naruto says is, you won't do anything. Or Sasuke says, like, how do you know I won't stand up to defy you in the future? Naruto says, you won't do things like this anymore. And Sasuke's like, how can you be so sure of that? And Naruto's like, just don't make me repeat myself. And the answer is because we're fucking friends, and that word means something actually real, and we're gonna act like it means something real, and we're gonna act accordingly. And I don't know. Again, it's kind of like a belief in the goodness of other people, even when they don't see it themselves. I know that's a tall order, and on some level you have to be like the world's punching bag. I'm not asking you to be a doormat or something like that. I don't know what I'm asking you to do. It all comes down to what you care about. And that's what the big question is like, what is the actual goal? Like, what do we actually value? And what's the end game? Like, what do we actually care about? Because if you care about just being like rewarded or whatever, but if you actually can somehow make your heart just care about doing the right thing, then getting insulted along the way and getting like whatever, it's like trying to help a drug addict. Like, they might lash out at you, but at the end of the day you love this person, and they might do shit that's like makes you want to be like, all right, screw this person. They stole from me, they stole out of my fucking drawer, stole money from me, stole out of my wallet, stole out of my purse, whatever. They cussed me out. But at the end of the day, it's like, if we can somehow not care about that and just continue, I'm not saying enable someone, but if we can somehow just get around that and focus on what's important. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but I hope some of that makes sense. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is me perhaps reaching, but I don't think that I am. Like how I said they gave Madara the scythe, right? I think that's appropriate that they gave him the scythe. For most of Naruto's story, you don't know who this guy is. You don't know Obito is Obito. It's finally revealed that it's Kakashi's childhood friend, Obito. In that moment when Kakashi realizes it, Obito gets this weapon out and cuts an X across Kakashi's chest. And that X is a Saturn symbol. It's just appropriate that that's like the imagery being used when Kakashi has this moment of like having his spirit broken, like having his will broken kind of thing. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to harp on that for too long, because admittedly that's a bit of a stretch. Obito is just trying to basically make a case to Kakashi to come over to their side, like, hey, this world sucks. You've suffered all this time at my grave, at Rin's grave. You lost your dad. I think Kakashi's dad killed himself. And he's like, hey, and I mean, this is a bit corny, like how like it's a bit on the nose in this instance. Kakashi hits Obito with a Chidori, right? That lightning attack pierces his heart. And it shows that he like doesn't actually have a physical heart, which is a bit weird. I don't know how they make sense of that in universe, but it's like thematically appropriate. It's like when you see Jesus pointing at his heart and stuff, this is obviously the opposite side of that. And it's not merely just being able to feel somebody else's pain, but it's like, it is that, but it's more, it's like the solar plexus, it's like the solar energy. A lot of that is heart, symbolically heart oriented, right? In Dragon's Dogma, I just did a video on Dragon's Dogma. What does the dragon take from the hero? Oh, he takes his heart. Like I said, Jesus pointing at the sacred heart, those kinds of things. So it makes sense that Obito is missing his heart, even if it is a bit like on the nose or whatever. He tries to say, you know, hey, Rin's here in this dream world along with your ideal version of me, instead of this like fucked up version that you're facing right now. It's basically a temptation offer, like, hey, give up and you can go away into a fabrication that is ideal to you. And it's an interesting proposition. I guess the question is, does it matter if it's real or not? And the answer to that is probably yes. And that's almost akin, I've talked about this many times in other videos, but that's almost akin to like the question of free will and God and why does he allow bad things to happen and that kind of stuff, that kind of line of questioning. Because to be brief about it, it's like if God forced everything to be dandy, if he forced you to be good, then there is no merit in being good anymore. It wouldn't mean anything. It's fake. I guess it's easy to say that realness of it matters when you're not really suffering. Perhaps when you're suffering really bad, you would take anything you can get and the pain's just so overwhelming, maybe you would take a facsimile over, you know, a pleasant lie over an uncomfortable truth kind of thing. I'm trying to speed through this now. So this is after Naruto converts Obito back onto the good side. He redeems him. Obviously, Naruto is like the Jesus of the story, right? Christ is often compared to the logos or the word, and Naruto's main tool for redeeming people is like a heart-based speech, right? Like a truth, empathetic, heart-based speech that gets through and converts people, redeems them.
Madara.
You were able to regain consciousness in that state.
I can't go to sleep yet. There's something I need to talk to you about.
Me? What could we possibly have to talk about now?
What am I to you?
What a stupid question. To me, you are nothing but Madara. The being who rejects this world is Madara. All those who keep that ideal in their hearts and work to complete the Infinite Tsukuyomi are nothing but Madara.
This is another insane thing that Madara says. And this is like actually real shit, guys. This isn't like I mean, I know I'm talking about Naruto, but this is real to me. And I've talked about this before. It says, what a stupid question. To me, you are nothing but Madara. The being who rejects this world is Madara. All those, this is the most important one, all those who keep that ideal in their hearts and work to complete the Infinite Tsukuyomi are nothing but Madara. And I've made a video on Legion and like Hive Mind and all that stuff before. I don't even know how to angle this because I've talked about this in other videos. This, to me, is the opposite point to what I always make, or it speaks to the point that I'm always trying to make on the importance of who you are. And that's a question that I always bring back up in my videos. And I think what you do and what you think and what you value, what you care about, how you act, all that stuff is of massive consequence. And I think it has a very deep meaning to it. I just think it matters a lot. So it's almost like, to me, if you're doing things like betraying someone's trust or treating friendships or relationships like they're not sacred, or lying or participating in things that are bad culturally and giving them more of a foothold, it's like you are part of this egregore. You are part of this trajectory that the world's on towards damnation. It's like you are part of Legion, so to speak. You are part of the idea of this death cult, whatever you want. I don't know how you guys want to conceptualize it. Like I said in the Matrix, I talked about it in the Kane Land of Nod video. I don't want to keep going back to that point, but Agent Smith turns other people into agents, right? That help perpetuate and consolidate and advance the existence of the Matrix, right? And the enslavement of mankind. And it's like and in that sense, he's literally turning people into Agent Smith. Like, he's literally touching them, blackening their heart, as we just talked about, and replicating them, turning them into copies of himself. But if you get more psychological or philosophical or spiritual or emotional than that, it's like when we take on certain worldviews and we give in to certain belief systems, and when we resonate or take delight in certain things, it's like we become Agent Smiths. We become advocates for our own demise. We become advocates for a satanic system. We become advocates for a new world order system. We become advocates for an anti-human stance. And if you think about the shit that you do in that grand of a sense, I think what I'm saying is coherent. I don't think I'm being dramatic. I don't think I'm dramatizing too much or making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, I think this is actually technically true. I think people just aren't used to thinking like this. And I don't think people have a good understanding of what's principally underneath certain things when they say certain things or when they do certain things. It's like, I don't think you appreciate what you're participating in. And I brought up this example a million times with Little Uzi Vert. I don't even want to bring it up again. I will, just because it's applicable. I'll be really quick about it. Little Uzi Vert, he's a rapper. He has a song. On stage, he told all the fans in the crowd, they're like, hey, you're all going to go to hell with me. And people are like, I don't know about that one. That's a little weird. And he's like, oh, what? he gets like offended that they didn't like cheer at cheer at the fact that he said you're all going to hell with me. And he says something like, you heard the song 1,000,000 times and you didn't even know. It's like, what the fuck? You know, what are you talking about, man? And to me, it shows that he understands that when you sing along to this stuff and when you delight in this stuff, you're participating in something that you don't even understand. You're participating in something deeper and grander. You're Madara. You're an agent for this stuff. Madara has become an ideal that people hold in their hearts, even unconsciously or unknowingly. They're all working to create the Infinite Tsukuyomi, which is ironic. Like, to me, that is literally, this sentence you're reading, I know I'm being kind of schizo right now. This is literally happening in real life right now. I 100% believe that. So people are walking around with a corrupted heart, and it's leading to the creation of our real world equivalent of the Infinite Tsukuyomi. You can just call it the Matrix if you want. I don't know. Obviously that involves like AI and like all the new technology that we're coming out, but it's a spiritual concept, it's a psychological concept, it's a philosophical one, and I actually believe this is literally happening.
You should have completed your mission and ended your existence as Madara, as the Messiah who saved the world.
You know, if the son is like Jesus and like the true Messiah, this is like the Antichrist. It's like the Bible says, through peace he'll destroy many. It's talking about the Antichrist. Okay, I'm here to bring peace to you guys. It's going to be really great, but it's actually going to destroy everyone. You get it? Like, I don't need to go that crazy with, like, how many times has the government said something like, oh, we're going to do something that is limiting human freedom and individual autonomy, and or that's going to kill people. We use language that's deceptive. Oh, collateral damage, instead of like a school got blown up and like 10-year-olds died or something. Like, they do all these tricks and scheming and lying and shell game bullshit, and then they turn around and say it's for your own good. They, at least in rhetoric, they view themselves as a protector, as a savior.
I thought you understood how things worked. Just as the Sage of the Six Paths showed us, this world is a failure. The Sage of the Six Paths' work merely promoted the hypocrisy of the human race. Chakra only gives birth to war and false hope. While you and I sought peace, we also simultaneously sought war. That is the reality. Infinite suffering is forced upon this reality by the power of chakra. That is why I am going to create a new world. Through the Infinite Tsukuyomi, I am going to create a dream world free of all that sinister chakra. As the last one, and the one who possesses the greatest chakra of all, I shall lead everyone. And you are me too, not Obito. This way. You are Madara.
One of the things he says, he asks Obito is, do you really think there's a future in this world? You know, I did a video on Persona 3, and one of the characters, what he says is, death incarnate comes into the world through a weakening of the veil because mass amounts of humanity have taken on this despair mindset, which allows death itself to come into the world. That's really an interesting way of illustrating things. One of the things he says is society without a future. How many people, you know, feel that way? Or he's like, up until January, that's what so many people believed, or whatever, until you stopped the threat. And it's like a lot of people today feel that way, you know, that there is no future. And I get it, because things look grim economically, geopolitically, domestically, with politics. It's like we got Epstein, and it seems like left, right, no matter who the fuck you vote for, if they even count your vote, which I don't believe that they do, but even if they did, it's from 2 pre-selected guys, and it's already been determined who's going to win. And it's just like, and that's part of the point. The demoralization is part of the point. It's why you get so much media that's bad on purpose. Part of it is, the point is demoralization, because they're trying to make little Madaras, right? They're trying to cultivate a certain feeling or attitude in the minds and hearts of people all across the country, all across the world, which is obviously another example, another reason why you have to do the opposite.
I cannot believe you let that keep you. You have become such a fool.
Obito just says, well, I'm starting to think that there is more of a future because of Naruto. And again, he's that one that goes around inspiring and redeeming people's hearts. So makes sense.
Strength
We're almost at the end here. These are just some quotes from Madara, and we're going to end the video.
is not will, but a phenomenon caused by physical objects.
I mean, that's kind of like a funny thing to say. It's kind of wordy and weird. But how I take that is like strength is not will, but a phenomenon caused by physical objects. It's a materialist worldview. It's like, again, how I was saying, the words like trust and friend and love meaning something real are not of actual consequence in his worldview because they're immaterial. They're not real. They're not backed up by anything. That's kind of how I take that.
If there is anything to inherit, that would be only hatred.
Again, I mean, this is the counterpoint to that stewardship thing I talked about, Hashirama and trust and all that. Oh, the will of fire being inherited by the next generation. And then he says some shit like this. If there is anything to be inherited, it's only hatred. So he's saying that whole notion of stewardship and passing the baton and the next generation taking this ideal further, and that trust that's built into an endeavor like that is basically a falsehood. The only inheritance, if there even is one, which there probably isn't, is just hatred, because the world's going to teach them, kind of like what Obito said, everyone's going to end up being just like me, right?
The being who rejects this world, that is who Madara Uchiha is. This is not where you belong. You would best disappear into a dream. I am the Messiah, and I shall end everything right here.
Again, the whole God complex, and I'm the Messiah, and I'm gonna end everything right here.
Love is not necessary. Power is the only true necessity.
This is where the villain's points actually shine through a bit more too, because I even made this point with Naruto, right? How he redeems people, but first he has to beat them on legitimate, like, fighting grounds. Like, he has to win first, and that's often how it goes. And perhaps part of that is just anime reasons, because we want to see a big bombastic fight scene. It's also speaks to, like, this isn't just about, it's not about just being weak and moral. Like, you have to actually back it up by competence and strength, right? So if you're good, you have to actually be smart and capable and competent and strong to actually back up what you believe. And you can't just use your morality as an excuse or a cover for your own weakness, right? Something along those lines. But he's not wrong. I'm not saying love isn't necessary, but he's not wrong that power is a necessity, because at the end of the day, the good guys are using their power to say that their belief is correct. You know, Hashirama has to beat him in a fight, Naruto has to beat Sasuke in a fight, etc.
Hashirama, I've already reached it.
I brought that quote up earlier of how, again, he's taking on a sort of anti-stewardship approach. I'm the Messiah. I'm end everything right here. I've already reached it. I've figured it out. Not a lot of talk of trusting to the next for those to come. You know what I mean?
Now I can finally pay you back for killing Izuna.
That's something he says when you're fighting against Tobirama, Hashirama's brother, because Hashirama's brother kills Madara's little brother. And that obviously spurs on the conflict to continue on. It adds to the whole notion of the villains being motivated by pain and loss and things like that. Very real things. One thing that Tobirama, because it's funny, people make jokes about Tobirama being like the racist of Naruto. And it's he kind of is. And he's kind of right to some extent, because he says the Uchiha are like a cursed clan. They're like a cursed people. And that's kind of harsh, and obviously it ends up not being true, because Naruto convinces Sasuke to change his ways, and he does, and Sasuke's a better person and all that. But in the sense that the Uchiha derive a lot of power from, like, suffering, when they lose someone close to them, their Sharingan evolves into more powerful versions of itself, right? And it's like part of their strength is literally intrinsically tied to, like, pain and suffering and loss, which is interesting. I wouldn't say that makes them cursed, but it's kind of an interesting thing that is, like, genetically tied to their people.
Naruto, You are getting in the way of everyone's happiness.
That one's pretty bad. You know, he's just making the case that what he's doing is actually the right thing, and Naruto and people would love this if he just got the fuck out of the way and let him put everyone into their dream world. It would actually be great. Naruto's actually the bad one, and he's the one actually interfering with everyone's happiness. Anyways, guys, I've been talking for a long time. I hope some of this made sense. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think.